So, hi everyone. Hello. Hello. Yeah, I'm probably more excited than you to be here, I have to say. So, today I'm going to be talking about exploring a career in AI. And I want to make this interactive. So, please feel free to jump in at any point. You're not a teacher, you can ask questions, you can interrupt me, it's fine. But the goal is hopefully to pique your interest and provide you a few more options as you move in the direction of picking a career. So I titled this Ready, Set, AI, and I know you folk are called the Vikings. If I get anything wrong, don't tell my daughter. My daughter Fee is in this school, so she expects me to have all of this information. I just don't. Okay, so here's the agenda. We're going to start off a few things about me, so you know who's the person speaking to you. And then we'll have a quick overview of artificial intelligence, AI, how we think it will impact work, couple careers in AI, skills and education for a career, and then a few helpful resources, okay? So first of all, how many folk here are already familiar with AI? Great. So everyone, this is amazing. So it's the smartest kids in the school. So someone tell me what you know about AI in one sentence. Yeah? Sorry? Okay, that's okay, great. Anyone else want to, yeah?
Computational intelligence, simulating human intelligence with a computer.
Fantastic. That's great. So you're already familiar with this. That's great. What I'm going to do is, I hope I can provide a bit more context as we proceed. So about me, essentially, I'm an applied AI specialist at Google, and what that means is that in my role every day, my job is actually referred to as being a conversational architect. So what I'm doing is facilitating conversations between machines and people. Anyone here been using ChatGPT for your assignments yet? You shouldn't raise your hand. I think you might get in trouble. But the point is, that's one example, but there's a whole slew of areas where AI is applicable. Okay. So again, that's my day-to-day job. I'm the guy who's going to customers or to federal government agencies or organizations and saying, hey, let me help you use artificial intelligence to solve business challenges. I'm trying to persuade them that's the right direction to go in. My lovely wife, Remy, was here, a physician. She's the kind of physician you do not want to have to see, because if you have to see her, it means you might be on the way out. Three awesome kids. My daughter Fiend's here. My son Dube is at Barker Road. And my little one Nafi is at Mendon Center Elementary. We've lived here for just under 2 years now. I like to think of myself as an AI evangelist. So I'm typically speaking at conferences, at events, speaking with customers and folk around the country, federal government agencies, schools, about how AI can help make life better for people. And then finally, I love to travel and I'm a foodie. Okay. So let's get started. I like to show rather than tell, and I wasn't sure if I have internet here, so I'm going to use my phone. Just 1 second. I want to pull up something. No, I don't have access, but show you a quick example. We hope that it goes well. So I'm about to do a live demo. In the future, depending on what you choose to do, you're going to have to do these demos where you work in and you're supposed to prove some concept to everyone. The demo gods are the folk who don't want it to work. I hope I'll get around them today. So let's do this. Okay. So I'm going to call in and I'm going to have a conversation with a conversational AI solution. It's a bot essentially that I built that knows about Mendon. And again, I don't know what service is like and all of that, but let's see how it goes. I'll put it on speakerphone. I'm not sure there's a way to connect this up, but let's see how this goes. Let me know if everyone can hear this.
How can I help you, Tony?
Ah, it's great to have you on. By the way, Alfred is a great name. It reminds me of Batman.
I'm a paragon of cutting-edge conversational technology, and you named me after a fictional butler?
Well, it's a nice name.
I bet it is. No need to pander. I see it's time to get started with the session. How can I help you?
Well, there's some information the attendees need to have. Can you help with that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm a conversational AI bot, and I'm taking over your school. Just kidding. We're going to be talking about a career in artificial intelligence. It's a topic that is near and dear to my cold, virtual heart. Anything else, Tony?
Yes, I think there's more.
That's true. Pittsburgh Mendon High School students and any fans out there, we'd like this to be interactive, so please jump in and ask your questions at any point. The presenter today will be Toni Okwechime. Thank you to Kaylee and the Career Exploration team for setting this up. Now, am I done, Tony?
Just a couple more things. You can do it.
I'm not a sentient being, Tony. I don't need verbal affirmation. Students, we're going to have a great session today. Don't forget to explore the helpful resources we'll share at the end. You might find them useful later on.
Well done, Alfred.
Thank you, Tony. Now, get to work.
Okay, so that was Alfred. Alfred introduces all of my sessions, essentially. And I can ask him a bunch of questions about Mendel Center, and you can answer as well. So let's get started now. What is artificial intelligence? Well, I like to start off telling the story. And what time do I end? 12:40? Oh,
It's 12:53.
fantastic. I want to have a lot of time at the end for questions. At least I know I have a bit more time. So I like to tell a story. Some months ago, my family and I were traveling, and we were traveling internationally, and we were actually in Spain, and I speak zero Spanish, like zero. When we were leaving, my wife, I typically will say to her, if you're traveling, don't check anything. And, it's been crazy over the pandemic. Anyone traveled and had any issues over the last year or so? Anyone? You know what it's like if you have. But as it is, I'm not the one in control. So we traveled, and I only had, like small suitcase. But my wife had her luggage, and she checked it in. And so we arrived, the flights are delayed. We arrived a little after 1 a.m. in this little Spanish town. And guess what? We're waiting, and luggage does not show up. And so even though I don't say I told you so, because I'll get in trouble, we now have to figure out how to get her luggage. And so we walk all around trying to find someone who can provide some information, but there's no one. And now it's after 1 a.m. We actually had an event the next morning, and we needed clothes. She needed clothes for the event. And so at that point in time, I pick up my phone and try to call the airline, but it's after 1 a.m. No one's going to talk to me. And then they give me an option to do something like what I just did now. Like, hey, you can speak to like an assistant or something. Now, even though my job is enabling AI, I'm not the person who wants to do that, especially on the phone. I'm like, pound, zero. I just want to talk to a person. It's middle of the night, and that's what I want to do. But I don't have an option. So I say, I'll do that. And so eventually I hear a voice come on, hi, Tony, I see you just got off the flight and all of that. I'm like, okay, some AI bot knows I just got off the flight, so maybe they'll be able to help. How can I help you? I'm like, hey, luggage didn't show up, provide all of that information. And even though this is my job, I'm like, this is really cool, And so I walk through the process, collects the information from me about my flight, and then it actually says, I'm sorry, your luggage will show up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. It's not here yet. And at that point, I'm like, okay, how do I get the luggage? It says, provide me your address. And again, my Spanish is horrible. So now I'm speaking really horrible Spanish because I have to say the address. It's Gran Via, something of the sort. If I say that, it picks it up. And then it tells me, we'll call you about 6 a.m. and someone will sort this out. So we head to our hotel. And lo and behold, about 6 a.m. the next morning, I get a phone call. Someone now has all of the information and is apologizing. I'm sorry, your luggage didn't arrive. And all of the information I shared with this AI bot is available to the user. So they empathize, they have the conversation with me, and then my luggage eventually arrives. Now, I like to tell that story because it's one example of how AI can help. In this particular instance, there wasn't a person there to help me. I arrived after 1 a.m. We had a bot that understood the way that I spoke. We call that natural language understanding or natural language processing. So we had a virtual agent or bot that was able to do that. I was speaking audio, but the bot was able to transcribe that, take the audio, transcribe that to text, process it with natural language, and then respond to me with what we refer to as text to speech in a human-like voice. And it was also able to connect to back-end systems, so figure out, based on the fact that I provided in my travel information, where my luggage was, and then present that back to me. So in this particular instance, where there wasn't a person available, we've now had artificial intelligence help me get information about where my suitcase was, where my wife's suitcase was. And in the morning, it had passed all that information off to a human who could have a conversation with me to make me feel better about the fact that my luggage was going to arrive late. So this was really helpful for me. Otherwise, I'd be stuck in a new country with nothing, right? So what is artificial intelligence? What is AI? It's, it's the buzzword right now. And, someone mentioned machine learning. That's slightly different from artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence is a part of computer science that deals with helping machines act like humans. The goal is to make machines intelligent in ways like human beings. So the things that humans can do, and that's why I told that story. Typically, humans can listen, we can process information, right? Now, how that ties into machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of AI where we train models or where we build AI, what's call it that for now, models using data in the same way that humans learn, right? So there's multiple different applications. So machine learning learns like you and I. When we learn to walk, your parents or probably didn't say, well, I mean, maybe they did, but they didn't have to walk around you saying, lift your leg, so, put it at an angle, put it down. They essentially just, you watched everyone around you walk, and hopefully you crawled, and then you figured out someday, this is what I do. Essentially, you took in data from the environment, and you were able to walk, right? There's also natural language processing, and I talked about this earlier. This is helping machines understand how humans speak. And it's really great. It goes beyond just understanding. On the back end of that is I can provide a machine, and for folk who play with ChatGPT and multiple other solutions of the sort, I can provide a machine text which asks it a question, and it can analyze it in multiple different ways. You can say, here are the verbs, here are the nouns, here are the pronouns, here's the structure of the conversation. You can extract information called entities from it. And that's what natural language processing is about, facilitating machines interaction with humans in the preferred language of the human, which is why when you think about natural language processing, the goal is to have us continue to speak in the way that we do, and the machine that typically understands only ones and zeros is able to understand it. Makes sense for everyone? Is that fine for everyone? Any questions at this point? Yes, actually. So it's one type. So if you think about machine learning, I like to break it down as pattern recognition and then prediction. And what I mean is say I was going to train a model to identify cats, give it 10,000 pictures of cats. If you're going to write code to teach a machine to identify cats, I have to describe in code what fur is like, what different kinds of cats there are, and what their ears look like, and what their feet look like. And perhaps you can do that, but it's a ton of work. With machine learning, I simply say, hey, there's 10,000 pictures of cats. You go figure out what's unique about cats so that when I give you two pictures, one of a cat and a dog, the machine already knows without me having to tell it, this has the same attributes as those 10,000 examples you gave me. And that's machine learning. So because it's learned that, it can then make a prediction. When I provide it a picture of a cat and a dog, it can predict that the picture of the cat is more likely to be a cat than the picture of the dog. So yes, you are right. So natural language processing as well typically requires that you provide examples to a model so that it learns how to understand human communication. Okay. So there's also computer vision, which is one of my best. Anyone here use Google Photos? I know you all have iPhones. And my personally use Switch. But I know exactly. So if you use Photos, you know what it's like. You can whip it out if you've been somewhere and you enable tagging. So, for example, I'm searching. I mean, I keep on telling the kids, they're trying to find some pictures, they're scrolling, like nobody scrolls anymore, right? Just search. I'm sure you will do that already. So, like, find all my pictures from San Francisco, find all my pictures from whatever, kitchen, type it in. So those are examples of computer vision. What computer vision does is that it allows machines to see and understand the world around us. So if you send the machine a model, an image, you can figure out what is a cat, what is a dog, what is a tree. If we're in a school, what is a computer, and all of that. So that's what computer vision does. And this is just 3 examples. There's multiple others. There's video. Now, I know that ChatGPT is huge and all of that. So I'll say that what's in the news today is focused around large language models. And large language models, essentially, think of this as AI, where you can provide a bunch of examples, and instead of doing just one thing, you can do multiple different things. So ChatGPT is a text-to-text model. I'm providing it text, and if I can describe it properly, which is what we call prompting, it will provide me text in response. But there's also text-to-image model, and I'm sure you've seen those. I can just provide a description, and the model will paint me a picture. There's text-to-video examples as well, where I can describe a video, and it will build me the video. There's text to music. I can say, hey, I want a mixture of jazz and rap, and I want it to be in the style of this. And that's what we're heading into now. So this will actually lead us to, let me go to the next page. What AI is about, or a simple way to provide an overview, is that it's like giving a robot the ability to think and learn like a human. The word think for me is sort of borderline because the robots aren't exactly thinking. It's not exactly thinking, it's like a human, right? But the goal is to make technology more helpful, more efficient, and accessible to everyone. So accessibility is a big thing, right? In order to build AI models, you need to have a certain level of expertise. And we're going to talk about some of that. But if everyone needed to be a research scientist or a data scientist to do this, no one would use this. So AI, at least in the right perspective, when used right, should make using complex capabilities so simple. You can type in text, for example, and get a response. You can pick up the phone, and you don't have to know what text-to-speech is, or speech-to-text, or natural language understanding. You can pick up the phone and you can say hi Google or something and have a conversation. You don't care about what's happening in the background. And that's the goal here. I like to say that the goal for the folks who do this right is to democratize AI, make it available to everyone. Any questions at this point? Any questions? Okay. So how will AI impact the future of work? So let me see, on average, anyone here in 12th grade already? 11th, 10th? What grade are you? Junior. 11th. Oh, sorry, I would assume the seniors aren't here then. Oh, what grade are you? 12th grade. So the point is, I'm sure that you're beginning to think about what you would like to do. My daughter Fia every day is like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I just do what I do. It's the coolest stuff, but she doesn't think so. So I'm sure you're beginning to think about this. Now, I grew up in a country on the west coast of Africa called Nigeria. We only got 3 choices. You had to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, or you were considered like illiterate, not useful back in the day, essentially. So everyone in my family is one of those 3 people. Thankfully, it's no longer like that. But in the future, the traditional job opportunities that are available today are unlikely to be the same one. So it's cool not to know exactly what you want to do today, right? So there's multiple ways that AI will impact the future, but let's take a look at a few of them. So first of all is improving efficiency and productivity. So think about the tools that are available to you today. If you use a tool like we talked about today, or you're going to see many of them being used, perhaps it could reduce the amount of time that I take to do a task. all of the research I had to do in the past, where I had to read through this and read through that, now I can have some model provided to me. I still need to vet that it's accurate and make sure I understand it, because critical thinking is important, of course. But the point is, we will see efficiency and productivity increase if things work out right. You know, it's always good and bad, right? So if things work out right, it means that a lot of the tasks that folk do today, perhaps we'll be able to automate. There was a time when the challenge was getting access to information, right? Before the internet, there were all sorts, there silos of information everywhere. You had to go to the library, you had to go here, you had to go there. Then we got the internet, and now all of that information was there. And then the challenge moved to being able to find the right kind of information. And so the skill set initially required was even figuring out where the information was and having access to it. All of a sudden, we got the internet, and now there's a ton of information. The challenge moved to being able to figure out how to use that information. We now gotten to the point where there will be the ability, or that process of finding the right information will be in your hands. It will be available to you. So the challenges are going to move away from that. Everyone is going to appear to be an expert if we have once we have these tools available. But having the appearance of an expert doesn't mean you're an actual expert, right? So start to think about the fact that in the future you have access to information already. How do you differentiate, right? Okay, so those are improvements around efficiency and productivity. It also means that we're going to have to get new skills, and for people who already have particular skills, we'll have to get new ones. I'll give you an example. In college, I hated to write code. Even now, I avoid it like plague. I make the kids learn to write code, but at work, I avoid it like a plague, right? It's just not a thing I like. And so I have colleagues who are just amazing at it. And I look at them and I'm like, you know what, I wish I could do this. But you know, I dodged and I'll be retired in like a couple of decades, so maybe I'll avoid it for all of the career. It's a fantastic skill set to have, but we already have models that can write pretty efficient code. So if you're in this session, I do say please learn how to code. It's a skill that will help you whatever you choose to do in the future. But the basic stuff is going to be handled by some model. As you write your code, you're going to have some model like correcting it for you. In fact, the goal will be, and I've done this already, write me some code to access this, that, and the other. I've run this on a website, and I expect the model to be able to do that for me. So it means that the jobs we have today, and how many people know that software engineering jobs where you write code pay really well? Well, relatively well. But the fact is, perhaps in the future, we'll just have some model that's doing that, writing the code, right? We already have low code, no code solutions today to build entire applications. So start to think about it. You want to have the skills today, but you also want to think, when that particular skill is gone, what will be required if I'm starting my own business? And I'm a big supporter of folk who want to be entrepreneurs. Who knows? One of you here might start the next Google, Facebook, whatever the case may be. And then I'll have in my resume that I spoke to you once when you were still in high school. But the point is, you want to start to think about the future in that sense, the skills that we have today. So again, folk have been saying machines are coming forever, and it hasn't happened. But as you start to pick your careers, ask yourself, the career that I love, is it easy to automate it away? Right? I mean, a great career to have, I think, is teacher. Because we're always going to need folk who empathize and understand this, right? So if you're a doctor, you have to actually cut people open and do stuff like that. Some others perhaps will not be here, but that's not a bad thing. It just means that we are going to have the opportunity to create new jobs, right? So there was a time when there were no machines, and the machines showed up for manufacturing, and then folk were like, no, I don't want to have to use machines. It's horrible. It's going to take our jobs away. But still manufacturing going on today, and folk had to get new skills. So when I point those three things out, we'll see improved efficiency. We will have to learn new skills, and there'll be jobs that we don't even know about yet. And then I like to say there's all the cool stuff. Now, there's a bunch of cool stuff, but for me, the top three are: first, self-driving cars. Why? Because my daughter's meant to start driving next year. If I can avoid it, I will. As soon as it's a self-driving car I can trust, I'm like, okay, you don't need to get a driver's license. I put you in. I can talk to it. I'm just like, hi, Jarvis. Okay, no, I can't steal that name. Hi, whatever it is. Drive her to school and back, and she doesn't have to touch it, so I don't have to worry. I'm kidding. But the point is, I love the idea of self-driving cars. We already see them today, the semi-autonomous vehicles already. But my expectation is that this will be huge in the future. So if you don't have a driver's license already and we do our job right, you might not need a driver's license. It's unlikely though. There's also personalized medicine, and I think this is great, right? So today you go see a doctor, and doctors are great. My wife is one. All of the treatments we're getting are typically based on learnings from treating a large number of people. AI will allow us to provide medicine that's specific to you. So perhaps we'll be able to analyze your own DNA and figure out, hey, for person X, here's a few areas where we want to focus. You want to lose weight, here's a personalized plan down to the person. You know, perhaps some family has a propensity for some particular ailment in the future. We might be able to say to you, here are the steps to take. And that's huge for me. And that's something else I think AI will enable. And then finally, intelligent assistants, we already have that today, but I'm the one, I'm just waiting for like the Iron Man thing, essentially. I want to have my own personal Jarvis or whatever it is. We're getting there already, do all my work for me, come speak to you for holographic image and chilling at home, and you think I'm here. So that's what I'm waiting for. And hopefully we'll see that happen at some point. I'm going to start to round up because I really want to spend time taking questions. But there's multiple different career paths in AI. I have that on the top only because I was going to say that, you know, typically it pays pretty well. It's just go, yeah. Now money isn't everything, but you do want to be able to get in place for it when you grow up, I assume, not in the very thousands, right? So it's a good idea to consider that. There's data scientists, and what the data scientists do, they're essentially responsible for cleaning the data, getting the data into a state that can be used by the AI model, right? So analyzing the data, there's tools that make this simple. I talked about the fact that machine learning, for example, you're providing data, it's identifying patterns and making predictions. So those are the folk responsible for the data. The software engineers who actually build the systems, right? That those models run. And this is stuff you're probably familiar with. Research scientists, that conducting research about techniques and applications going into the future, really smart folk. Everything we do now for them is sort of like past this prelude. They look to the future and carry out research in these areas. There's product managers, and product managers are responsible for the actual products that we use. So it's a career path I knew nothing about when I was in high school, but now that I'm in tech, every single tech company has product managers. So you use an iPhone, somebody thought about what the iPhone should do, figured out what was going to be in highest demand, put that together, right? Shoes, bags, computers. So product managers are the folk who are responsible for visualizing what the requirements are, prioritizing what those requirements, and then figuring out in what order we add features to products. And they do that for AI as well. And then there's UX and UI designers, user experience and user interfaces. It's huge, right? So the fact of the matter is you can have a fantastic solution, and if the experience is bad, no one wants to use it, right? So this entire session we're having here, you know, Katie reached out and the rest of the team, and they provided a great experience, and so I showed up. You could have had the exact same session, but if the outreach was bad, I'd be like, no, I don't have time for this session, right? So user experience and then user interfaces, the folk who design those will always be required. Now, I shouldn't say always, as far as we can see, like things will change. But the point is, it means you have to have specific skills. So any questions about any of this before I move ahead? Any questions about anything I've talked about? Great. Yes. Yes. So what you're referring to is synthetic data. And we already create synthetic data to use to train AI models. It's a great stopgap, but in reality, you want to use the actual data where it's possible. So when that data is not available, that's fine. You already create synthetic. I'll give you an example. Working on some vision applications to be able to identify passports. One, so if you want to go just scan your passport, extract all the information, name, this, that, and the other. But who's going to hand me 10,000 people's passports, right? Like new passport, no one's going to do that. So we have to create, I don't call the fake passport, tell me, but it's synthetic data to be able to identify different passports. So absolutely, you're absolutely right here. Okay. Now, what are the skills and education for an AI career? And there's some basic stuff that you already know. I'm sure as far as there's formal education, well, there's computer science, which it's obvious, right? These are the folks that are going to. Now, I have to say this. Anyone here like math? Right. Do you do statistics already? Right. Essentially. So, I mean, my son in Barker was like, Dad, am I ever going to do anything with math? Like, I think I need to learn all of this. And he tries to get me to help him with his math. I can't, because I can't remember any of it any longer. Yeah, but the point is, absolutely. So I have computer science here, I have math on here. So you will, if you choose to go in this direction, use the math in the future. I'm an applied AI specialist, so I don't have to worry about writing code and using math any longer. Statistics as well, I mentioned, but it's also coding. And for me, this is the most important skill, I have to say. Whether it's Python, Java, Node, whatever it is, coding teaches you specific concepts that are applicable across life. So I'd say, I would assume a lot of you already do this. If you don't, it's one skill to pick up. But also, communication is critical. And I say that because a lot of concepts you're going to have to deal with can be somewhat complex. And we always need people to take complex concepts and communicate them in simple ways that everyone can understand. So if you consider a career in AI, communication will be key. And then there's critical thinking. Because as we start to apply AI in multiple different areas, someone is going to have to think about what the impact ethically is. For example, someone's going to have to think, should we do this? Should we not? Do we want to enable this is a really old movie here, but anyone seen the Terminator? Okay, so I'll find something that's more modern. The point is, do we want to enable machines that come wipe us out? Is the point, right? So there has to be critical thinking. So we're all around to enjoy all of this, and if you just float around in bubbles, drink soda all day while other stuff doesn't work for us. Finally, I think I have only one more slide. Oh, I have a slide about how to gain the skills. There's all of the formal education. Some of you will go on to study computer science or something of the sort, whatever you choose to do. There's also self-study, and there's a ton of great resources. I'll share some, but again, you have access to the internet now, so there's no excuse. I like to say I can learn anything almost for free if I'm willing to spend enough time trying to find it, right? Just about anything, and I'm sure you folk know that you can find just about anything. Work, a lot of companies will have like an internship or something of the sort, and it's not too early. So I work at Google already. There's opportunities for folks to come in and like take kids in and bring the work, your kids to work. I've had them sit with software developers at work and say, talk to them about that. Because in my house is this thing, my wife's a doctor and I do tech. I'm trying to pull the kids in that direction. If they don't go do something else, or maybe they do it, there's three of them, so I think I want to have one of them do that, if that's what they want to do in the end. But so there's all sorts of opportunities already. There's programs you can find that are targeted at folk in high school and beyond to help you in this area. And then there's conferences and there's meetups. So yeah, check out what the coolest conferences are. And again, in high school, folk will be like, you know what? I just want to come. Perhaps we can provide them access. It's always great to do that. With my friends, my family, you might want to say, can I come to the office? I'd like to meet folk on I work with Google. Hey, I want to meet someone on the YouTube team. I want to meet someone on the Maps team. I want to meet someone on the Google Assistant team. Are there conferences where they're going to be? This is a great opportunity for you right now, particularly while you're in high school. Both like, oh my gosh, it's a high school student. Let's do everything we can, right? And then finally, I do have a few resources here. Katie, are you going to make the presentation available? Yeah. Okay. So you click on the links, and I'm sure Scratch, a lot of you use this as kids. You're way beyond that, perhaps, but it's a great starting point. Khan Academy is great. A lot of these have free information, free lessons for you to go use to learn about AI. Google AI Education has content that starts off really, really simple and then gets really advanced. And then I threw in here OpenAI GPT-3 Playground allows you to learn what people are starting to call prompt engineering. Prompt is how to properly form queries to a large language model. You need to ask the right questions. The skill you're going to have to learn going into the future. Okay, I think I've come to the end, and I think I'm right on time. So I'll take any questions now or feedback that you might have.